Hello everyone, welcome to another math online lesson. Our topic for today is adding and subtracting fractions. So let's start with similar fractions. How do we add and subtract similar fractions? So adding and subtracting similar fractions is very easy because all we need to do is to add the numerators. Now similar fractions are fractions with the same denominator. So here in our example we have 2/4 and 3/4. They have the same denominator, therefore they are similar fractions, so all we need to do is to copy the denominator and then add the numerator. There. So you have 2 plus 3, that's 5, over 4. Now simplifying this one, since 5 and 4 does not have this common factors and 5 is already on its prime number, we can just stop here. Or, since this one is an improper fraction, because the numerator is greater than the denominator, we can transform this one. We can just stop here, or we can transform this one into a mixed fraction because we have an improper fraction here. Improper fraction meaning numerator is bigger than the denominator. So how do we transform this one? We just divide the numerator by the denominator. So we have 5 divided by 4, you have 1. 1 times 4, that's 4. Then subtract 5 minus 4, that's 1. Okay, so from here, we have a quotient, we have a remainder. So the quotient will be our whole number. The remainder will be the numerator of the fraction, and then the denominator will be the divisor here. So 5 over 4 here is also equal to 1 and 1/4. Now same goes if we subtract similar fraction. So since here 3/4 and 1/4 are similar fractions, so all we need to do is to subtract the numerator. So you have 3 minus 1. 3 minus 1, that's 2 over 4. 2 over 4, we can still simplify this one by dividing both sides by a common factor 2. 2 divided by 2 equals to 1. 4 divided by 2, that's 2. So this is the answer for our subtraction. So again, if we have the same denominator, both fractions are similar, so all we need to do is to add or subtract the numerator. Here are some other examples in similar fraction. So we have here similar fraction, the same denominator, so all we need to do is to copy the denominator and then subtract the numerator. That's 2 minus 3. So from here, 2 is smaller than 3, so we need to follow the rules of integers. Now since 2 does not have any sign on its left side, so 2 is a positive number. This is from our video on operations on integers. So here we have two unlike sign numbers, so you have positive 2 and negative 3. So all we need to do is to subtract. Let's just copy the denominator here first. So you have 3 minus 2, that's 1. And then since 3 is bigger than 2 and the sign of 3 is negative, so we have here negative 1/4. Next here, similar fraction, the same denominator. So let's just copy the denominator here, 4. and then subtract the numerator. Sorry, that's 3 minus 1. So 3 minus 1, that's 2 over 4. Simplifying this one by dividing both sides by its common factor, which is 2. So you have 2 divided by 2, that's 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Last example, we have 1/4 minus 3/4. Again, similar fractions. Copy the denominator and then subtract the numerator. So we have here 1 minus 3. 1 is smaller than 3, so let's use the rule of integers. 1 here is a positive number, so you have two unlike sign numbers, so you need to subtract. 3 minus 1, that's 2. And since 3 is bigger than 1, so let's use the sign of 3, which is negative. Copy the denominator. Simplifying this one, you can divide both sides by the common factor of 2 and 4, which is 2. Negative 2 divided by 2, this is negative 1. Using the rule of division on integers. 4, positive 4 divided by positive 2 gives you positive 2. So you have a negative 1/2 as your answer. Okay, now how about adding and subtracting dissimilar fractions? So we have two techniques here. We have the transforming to similar fractions and the butterfly method. So here we have an example, 2/4 plus 1/2. Dissimilar fractions because the denominator of the two fractions are not the same. So on our first method, transforming to similar, basically we need to make the denominator of each fractions the same. So how do we do that? First, we need to find the multiple of each fraction. So let's start with the multiples of 2. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. And then 4, you have 4, 8, 12. So let's use the least common factor for both, which is 4. Okay, so we need to make the denominator of each fraction 4. Now, but here our first fraction already has the denominator of 4, so all we need to do is to make our second fraction denominator equal to 4. So how do we do that? We need to multiply a number in such a way this becomes 4. So what number will it be? So 2. We need to multiply this one by 2 so that it will become 4. And since we multiply the denominator by 2, we also need to multiply the numerator by 2. So that 2 over 2 is equal to 1. So it seems like nothing happened here, because any number multiplied by 1 is equal to the same number. So we have here now 2 over 4, and then multiplying fractions, simply multiply the numerator to numerator, denominator to denominator. So you have 1 times 2, 2, 2 times 2, 4. There, we have the same denominator now, so both fractions are similar. Then we can add. Copy the common denominator and then add the numerator. So you have 2 plus 2, that is equal to 4, over the denominator 4. Simplifying this one, that's basically 4 divided by 4, so that's equal to 1. There. Now let's try to use the butterfly method, see if we could come up with the same number here. Now the butterfly method, the first step is multiply the denominators directly. So you have 4 times 8. Okay. so that we'll have a common denominator. So 4 times 8, that's 8. Then the numerator here on the first fraction multiplied to the denominator of the second fraction. So that is 2 times 2, that's 4. Next, the denominator of the first fraction multiplied to the numerator of the second fraction. And then since we are using, the operation is addition, so let's just write the addition sign here. So 4 times 1, that's 4. Then let's go ahead and add 4 plus 4, that's 8. Basically, this is 8 over 8, so you have the answer equal to 1. So it's up to you what method you want to use that is easier for you. So let's have subtraction on the similar fraction. So basically the methods are the same. So in transforming to similar, we need to make the denominator of each fraction similar. So like on the previous example, we already have the um, least common factor for this one, which is 4. So let's go ahead and bring it down here. So since this one, we need to make the denominator of 1/2 to 4. So let's just bring down 2 over 4 minus 1/2. So let's multiply this by 2 so that they'll have the same denominator, 2 over 2. So you have 2 over 4 minus 1 times 2, that's 2. 2 times 2, that's 4. So you have now similar denominator. So let's just copy the denominator here and subtract the numerator. So 2 minus 2, that is equal to 0 over 4. 0 divided by any number is equal to 0. Now let's try to use the butterfly method and see if we could come up with the same answer. So again, multiply the denominators. So you have 4 times 2, that is equal to 8. Then numerator to denominator, 2 times 2, that's 4. Since that is subtraction, copy subtraction sign. 4 times 1, that's 4. Then subtract. 4 minus 4, that's 0 over 8. 0 divided by 8 is 0. So we have the same result. So it's up to you what technique you want to use. Next, we have mixed fraction, adding and subtracting mixed fraction. So we have here 1 and 2/4 plus 2 and 1/4. So in adding and subtracting mixed fractions, we also have two techniques. So the first technique is basically we'll just add the whole numbers. So that would become 1 plus 2. So I'm just adding here the whole numbers here and this one. Then we'll just add also the fractions separately. So 2/4 plus 1/4. There. So we have here 1 plus 2, that's 3. And since the fractions are similar fractions because they have the same denominator, so let's just copy the denominator and add the numerator. That's 2 plus 1. So you have here 2 plus 1, that's 3 over 4. So this will be our answer. Now the second technique is we need to transform each mixed fraction to improper fraction. So I'll go ahead and write this one first, the given 1 and 2/4 plus 2 and 1/4. So first, we need to transform each mixed fraction to an improper fraction. So how do we transform mixed fraction? First, we need to multiply the whole number to the denominator and then add the numerator, then copy the denominator. So it's like this. 1 times 4, that's 4, plus 2, that is 6. Then copy the denominator. Again, on the second mixed fraction. 2 times 8, 2 times 4, that's 8, plus 1, that's 9. Copy the denominator. So here we already have similar fractions, so we'll just copy the denominator 4 and then add the numerator 6 plus 9. So you have 15 over 4. Now here we have an improper fraction. So we need to transform this one into a mixed fraction. So 15 over 4, all we need to do is to divide 15 by 4. So how many 4 are there in 15? There are 3. 3 times 4, that's 12. 15 minus 12, that's 3. So from here, we can write this one as your quotient will be your whole number. Your remainder will be the numerator of your fraction. And your divisor will be the denominator here. So we have the same answer. So it's up to you what technique you want to use on adding mixed fraction. Now let's proceed on subtraction on mixed fraction. So again, we have the same process. So I'll show the first technique. We need to add subtract the whole number. So you have 3 minus 2. These are the whole numbers here, 3 and 2. And then also subtract the fractions. So you have 2/4 minus 1/4. So 3 minus 2, that's 1. We have here similar fractions. So we have just to copy the denominator and then subtract the numerators. So we have here 1, 2 minus 1, that's 1 over 4. There, you have your answer. 1 and 1/4. Now see if we could get the same answer when we use the improper fraction to improper fraction. So let's write it here. 3 and 2/4 minus 2 and 1/4. So let's transform this one to an improper fraction. That is 3 times 4, 12, plus 2, that is 14, over 4, minus 2 times 4, that's 8, plus 1 and 9, over 4. So we have similar fraction. Let's just copy the denominator here. So we have 14 minus 9. 14 minus 9, that is 5 over 4. So we have an improper fraction because we have our numerator is bigger than the denominator. So let's transform this one into a mixed fraction. Let's divide the numerator by denominator. So 5 divided by 4, that's 1. 1 times 4, 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. So we now have our whole number, the quotient. The remainder would be the numerator of the fraction, and then the divisor would be the denominator. So we have the same answer. Again, it's up to you what technique you want to use. Okay, we have another example here. So let's use the two techniques. Let's add the whole numbers here. That's 3 plus 2. And then let's also add the fractions. 2/3 plus 1/4. There. So 3 plus 2, that's 5. But take a look at our fractions here. We have dissimilar fractions. So it's either you use the transforming this one into similar fractions or use the butterfly method. So let's go ahead and use the or transform this one into similar fractions. So let's find the multiples of 3 and 4 and then find the least common factors. So you have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Multiples of 4, so you have 4, 8, 12, 16. So we have a common number here, which is 12. Meaning we need to transform the denominator of each fraction into 12. So I'll go ahead and write this one here. 2/3. So what number should be multiplied to 3 to make it 12? We need to multiply this by 4. And if we multiply the denominator by 4, we also need to multiply the numerator by 4. And then plus, we have 1/4. What do we need to multiply 4 to make this 1 12? So we need to multiply this by 3. Also, we need to multiply the numerator by 3 also. So bring down 5, the whole number. So 2 times 4, that's 8. 3 times 4, that's 12. Plus 1 times 4, that's 3. 4 times 3, that's 12. So here we have a common denominator now. Both fractions are now similar. So let's bring down again the whole number. So we have 12, 8 plus 3. So 8 plus 3, that is 11. Right? So we have our whole number here. 8 plus 3, that is 11 over 12. Now, since our fraction is a proper fraction because our numerator is smaller than our denominator, then this will be our final answer. Now, let's try to check if we could come up with the same answer if we try to use the transforming to improper fraction. Now, let's go ahead and write it here. That's 3 and 2/3 plus 2 and 1/4. So let's transform this one into an improper fraction. So that's 3 times 3, 9, plus 2, you have 11 over 3, plus 2 times 4, 8, plus 1, 9 over 4. Now this time, I want to use the butterfly method here. So butterfly method, multiply the denominator here. So that's 3 times 4. So I have a common denominator now as 12. Then numerator to denominator, that's 11 times 4, you have 44. Plus 3 times 9, that is 27. Then let's add. 44 plus 27, that is 71 over 12. So we have here an improper fraction. Okay, so all we need to do is to make this one is a mixed fraction. So let's divide the numerator by its denominator. So here 12 divided by 7 cannot be, so let's move to 71. 71 divided by 12, this would equal to 5. 5 times 12, so we have 5 times 2, 10, carry 1. 5 times 1, that's 5, plus 1, that's 6. 1 minus 0, that's 1. 7 minus 6, that's 1. 11 cannot be divided by 12 anymore, so we can stop here. So here, quotient will be our whole number. Remainder will be the numerator of our fraction, and then the divisor will be our denominator. So here we have the same answer. So it's up to you what technique you want to use. Okay, here, subtraction on mixed fractions. So it's basically the same. The first technique is, let's subtract the two whole numbers. 2 minus 3. So basically on this one, since our um, subtrahend, I mean our, yeah, is smaller than, I mean our minuend is smaller than our subtrahend. So I'll just go ahead and use the, because this is much easier when we use the transforming into an improper fraction. So it all depends on the process. So let's try the easy one. So I will transform this one into mixed fraction. So I have 2 times 2, 4 plus 1, that's 5. And then just copy the denominator. That's minus. Here, 3 times 4, that's 12, plus 1, that's 13, over 4. And then from here, I'll use the butterfly method since we have improper fractions. I mean, dissimilar fractions now. Okay, so we have 2 times 4. So I'll have here 2 times 4, that's 8. Cross multiply. So you have 5 times 4, that's 20. Minus, since that is subtraction, 2 times 13, that is 26. Okay, since our minuend is smaller than our subtrahend, so we follow the operations on integers. So 20 here is positive, so we have two unlike sign numbers, so we need to subtract. 26 minus 20, that is 6. And then since 26 is bigger than 20, so let's copy the sign of the highest number, which is negative, over 8. So from here, we can now simplify. We can divide both sides by a common factor, which is 2. So we have 6, negative 6 divided by 2. So negative divided by positive will give you a negative result. 6 divided by 2, that is 3. Positive 8 divided by 2, that is 4. So this will be our answer. So from here, if the problem is mixed fraction and the operation is subtraction, so you need to decide which process is applicable, much applicable. Although the first process is okay, but it would be a bit complicated because here our minuend is smaller than our subtrahend because you come up with a negative number. So you better use the second method, which is transforming this one first to an improper fraction and then proceed to the butterfly method. So there you go. I hope you learned something today. And for our next topic, that would be multiplying and dividing fractions.